My brother's wife sent back her daughter's birthday gift, sneering, "We don't accept budget presents in this house." It was a brand new iPad. Grandma chimed in. "She has standards." I just smiled. "Please don't take this the wrong way," Lisa said, her voice cutting through the festive hum of my parents' house. "But we don't accept budget presents in our home." She held the gift box like it might stain her expensive sweater. It was a brand new iPad. 9th Gen Wi-Fi silver, still in its plastic. I'd even tucked in the Apple care sheet with a bow. Her perfect manicure tapped the Apple logo twice, and then she handed it back to me across the kitchen island. My mom, Barbara, standing behind her with a plate of strawberries, just smiled at me. Not at me but past me. "She has standards," Mom added, like it was a little joke, like it would smooth things over. But nothing was smooth. Ella, my 8-year-old daughter, stood next to me, clutching the birthday card she'd made with markers and a glitter pen. She had drawn her cousin Melissa in a blue dress, holding balloons. "I drew Melissa's teeth shiny," she whispered to me, so proud. "I'm a dentist. I talk about brushing a lot." She'd drawn each tooth as a tiny square. She'd worked on that card for an hour. "Cards go over there," Lisa said, pointing to a tray by the sink already stacked with pristine Hallmark envelopes. Ella stepped forward, holding out her drawing with both hands. Lisa glanced at it, her mouth twisting. "We don't keep kid art," she said, still smiling, "but the kind that shows no teeth. It's just clutter. You can take it back home and keep it in your keepsake box, honey." She lifted her fingers, and Ella's paper fell back into my daughter's hands. "We're trying to do a minimalist thing." A couple of the kids snorted at keepsake box, laughing like it was a joke. My brother Nate, my mother's golden boy, took a photo of the balloons, not us. My hands went hot and numb at the same time. I tucked the iPad back into my tote bag with a smile I didn't feel. "No problem," I said, my voice sounding clear like I had practiced it. "Happy birthday, kiddo." Later, when they made the kids line up for favors, clear plastic bags with nail polish sets and mini perfumes, someone handed them out to the 4 cousins. He said their names. He didn't say Ella's. She stood there watching the bags go by, fingers still around her drawing. "It's okay," she whispered to me. Her face stayed polite, her shoulders hunched one notch. I looked at the tray of cards by the sink. I looked at my mother's face when she glanced at Ella, and then away. I swallowed hard. My throat felt too tight for air. I smiled wider. I took Ella's hand. I told my daughter we could look at the fish tank. She nodded. She tucked her drawing into her backpack, like a secret she shouldn't have shared. I should have known. "I'm Marie. I'm 39 and I live in Lakewood, just west of Cleveland. I own a small dental practice on Madison Avenue with 4 chairs and one hygienist who always sings under her breath. I'm a single mom to Ella. I adopted her when she was 3 after a long year of visits and paperwork, and a tiny courtroom where the judge gave her a teddy bear. Ella is quiet. She is careful. She says thank you twice out of habit. She is the best thing I have done with my life." My brother Nate is 35. He married Lisa 5 years ago, and they have 2 kids, Melissa and Jacob. My parents live 20 minutes away. They come by my office for cleanings and to drop off homemade piragus and little envelopes with bills inside. I make good money, not celebrity money, just steady money. Enough to own my small ranch house, keep the lights on at my practice, and not think about gas prices every week. Somewhere along the way, that turned me into the family debit card. It started small. Mom calling because the electric bill slipped our mind. I put her Cleveland Electric account on my autopay. $142 in winter, $210 in summer. Then Dad's truck needed tires for winter. "I'll Venmo you," Dad said. He didn't. I bought the tires. I told myself it was easier to be generous than to fight about it. Nate needed to switch to my phone plan just for a month, while he sorted their bill. That month became 2 years, $129 a month for the 4 of them. He added an iPad line for Jacob for school. When they wanted to redo their kitchen backsplash, Mom texted me a photo of white subway tile and a prayer hands emoji. "We'll pay you back," she added a second text, no period. The tile guy's invoice was $1,842. I paid it. The backsplash looks nice. It's in a lot of photos that make it to Facebook. I was the heavy lifter for Christmases and vacations too. The first year after I adopted Ella in August, I rented a lake house in Sandusky for the family, $3,600 for the week. The kids loved the little bunk room. Nate said he couldn't swing his share that summer. I told myself it was fine. The next summer he didn't even offer. I was already filling out the booking form by April. I covered flights for a Disney trip that fell apart after they booked the wrong week, $1,200. I sent Mom $200 weekly for groceries because it kept her from calling me from the checkout line whispering. I bought new chairs for their porch, $599.90 at Home Depot. Divided across 2 receipts so it didn't ping my budgeting app too loudly. I did those things with a shrug because I had it and they didn't because I was the one with the spreadsheet and the line items because I could and because it kept the peace. The peace never made it to my daughter. They called their 4 grandchildren the cousins and counted them out loud like a rhyme. Ella was always Marie's girl. Not granddaughter, not cousin. She's not our blood, my mother said once to my aunt, not to me. But I heard it from the hallway while I looked for napkins. But we love her. The second part felt like an afterthought, like she remembered to add it for points. On the cousin shirts my mom had made at Christmas 2 years ago, there were 4 names in vinyl: Melissa, Jacob, Liam, Sophia. My sister's 2 kids had shirts. Ella didn't. Mom said she ran out of letters. We'll get one made later, she told me. Later never came. At Easter they hid plastic eggs and told the kids, there are 40 eggs, 10 each, so don't be greedy. Then my aunt counted 10 in each basket and handed Ella 2 from a bowl on the table, to be fair. She smiled while she did it. I sat at the kitchen table, paying their January water bill online while listening to my mother talk about our grandkids running in the yard. I scrolled to the debit entry and watched $83.41 leave my account. Ella sat next to me drawing a rabbit that looked like a heart with ears. She asked me if bunnies could have braces. I told her yes if they wanted to. When Nate called me last spring to ask me to co-sign on a loan for a new truck for his landscaping business, I said no calmly. My policy is I don't co-sign, I told him. It's a hard line. I'm sorry. He didn't speak to me for a week. Then he sent me a meme about rich sisters and family loyalty. When I didn't respond, Lisa posted a long paragraph on Facebook about people who think they're better than you because they got a degree, and people who buy admiration with gifts. They still kept me on the hook for everything else. I still paid Mom every Friday. When I tried to scale back, she sent me photos of empty fridges. When I bought Melissa a Chromebook for school last year, Lisa sent a thumbs up emoji and then a follow-up, we need a pro. So when Lisa looked at a brand new iPad like it was from a bargain bin and said, budget presents, it wasn't about an iPad. It was about years. It was about the way my money could come in the front door, and my daughter could be left on the porch. I thought if I was generous enough, they would see Ella the way I do. I thought I could buy belonging. My bank app told a different story. After the party, Ella and I sat in the car in their driveway for a minute. I could see balloons popping against the ceiling through the big front window. I could see my mother's arm reach past the flowers to straighten something on the counter. Ella's drawing lay flat in her lap, glitter pen still wet. She looked at the picture like a grown-up, trying to judge if it was worth anything. Is my art messy? She asked finally, like it was a question about the weather. No, I said. My voice came out too fast. I slowed it down. No, baby. Your art is perfect. She said it was clutter, she said. She didn't cry. She never makes scenes. She just folded the drawing and put it in the back pocket of her backpack. I watched her do it like I was watching a small door close. At home, I put the iPad box on the counter and opened it. The plastic peeled off in a satisfying pull. I plugged it in. The Apple logo lit up. Ella watched me. Who was that for? She asked. You, I said. I thought it was for Melissa. It's for you. She blinked. Am I allowed? I took a picture of her at the kitchen table, trying out the drawing app with her finger, her tongue between her teeth like it always is when she concentrates. She drew a tooth with a little smile, then erased it because she didn't like the curve. She tried again. Her shoulder dropped when it came out right. I like this, she said. It sounded like a new word in her mouth. That night, I scrolled through Facebook at 2 a.m. The photos from the party were already up. In one of them, all the cousins stood in a row in front of the balloon arch, holding their favor bags. Someone had cropped the right edge so that Ella wasn't there at all, though I remembered her standing just off-center, hands clasped, smiling too hard when Jacob bumped into her. The caption said, "My tribe." I closed the app. In the morning, a text from Lisa. "If you're going to buy tech, please ask us first. We don't do base models. Melissa has the iPad Pro. Returning." I didn't respond. She had already handed it back. I made coffee. Ella was still asleep. The house was quiet except for the sound the fridge makes when it cycles, the same hum it made when I was a kid. I opened my banking app. The Family Fund checking account sat in its own little box, a nickname I had given it 3 years ago when a month of calls from different directions pushed me to create a separate setup. It had 3 autopays. Cleveland Electric $200 scheduled for the 12th, Cleveland Water $90 scheduled for the 18th, T-Mobile Family $129 scheduled for the 20th. It also had a recurring transfer every Friday at 9 a.m. to Mom Fry Groceries, $200, and a once-a-month payment on the first to State Auto for Nathan Vehicles, $320. The balance was $5,842.11. I funded it from my main checking and covered it with my business account when months ran thin. I stared at the numbers. I thought about my own Friday routine of pulling into the grocery store after work, Ella in the backseat telling me about gym class. I thought about the little egg at Easter that got counted for everyone else. I thought about the card being handed back to my kid like a receipt. I made one decision. I called Lake City Credit Union and asked to close the Family Fund account. The woman on the line said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." I gave her the last 4 digits. It took 10 minutes. She read me terms and I said yes again. "Would you like to transfer the balance?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "To my business checking ending in 0371. She repeated it back. A few clicks later it was done. She gave me a confirmation number. I wrote it down on a sticky note and stuck it to my monitor. Then I called the utility companies. "I need to remove my card from these accounts and return them to the customer," I said twice for Cleveland Electric. The rep said, "We'll send a letter giving them 10 days to set up their own payment method." I said, "Okay." She read me a confirmation code. I wrote it down. For water, they were polite. For T-Mobile, I said, "Please remove the 2 lines ending in 16 and 43 from my account." The guy tried to upsell me on a family deal. "It's just me now," I said. "Just me and my kid." I didn't call Nate. I didn't text my mom. I didn't post a paragraph online. I put the sticky notes in a little row on my desk. I took a picture of them and emailed it to myself with the subject, "Closed." Then I opened my budgeting spreadsheet and deleted a whole column. My hands shook a little, not from fear but from adrenaline. From the feeling of peeling off a wet bandage and discovering the skin underneath could breathe. I packed Ella's lunch. Peanut butter and jelly, pretzels, carrot sticks. The iPad tucked carefully into a second-hand case. I ordered same day with her name printed on the back. "For my messy art," she said when I showed it to her. "For your fancy art too," I said. We both laughed a little. The fallout started 3 days later when the electric autopay missed. My phone lit up at 8:13 a.m. while I was fitting a temporary crown. 2 missed calls from Mom, 1 from Nate. A text. "The power company says we owe $218 and they're charging a late fee. What happened to the autopay?" Another text. "Are you angry because of the party? Don't be dramatic, Marie. We can talk like adults." I didn't respond while my patient was in the chair. I didn't respond during lunch. At 2 p.m., Mom showed up at my office without an appointment, wearing her church coat, tight-lipped. Martina at the front desk buzzed me. "Your mom is here," she whispered like she was telling me about an invasive species. I took her back to my office and closed the door. "You made our power late," she said. "No hello." Her hair was sprayed higher than usual. "You know we rely on you for these things. You can't just shut things off." "They aren't off. They're yours again." I closed the account that paid for them. "You'll need to set up your own payments." She stared at me like I had spoken another language. "Because Lisa didn't want your cheap iPad. Because I won't fund a family my child isn't part of," I said. My voice was steady. "This isn't about an iPad. It's about years. This is me stepping out." "We never said she wasn't part of the family," she snapped. "Don't be ridiculous. I counted 4 cousins last weekend. You handed her art back to her. You've been saying it without saying it for a long time. Mom blinked fast, the way she does when she's about to cry or about to be cruel. She chose the second option. Lisa has standards. You always were the emotional one. Nate's wife wants the best. You don't have to take that so personally. I'm not taking it personally. I'm taking it financially. I'm done. She opened her mouth and closed it. Your father's heart won't take this stress. I'm not his doctor, I said. I kept my tone polite. I'm not your bank. She left without hugging me. She didn't schedule a cleaning. That night, Nate called and went straight to speaker without waiting. Is this a joke? State Auto says the car insurance declined. Are you sending a new card? His voice had that whining edge it gets when he's cornered. No, I said. That account is closed. You'll need to pay your own insurance. You said you'd help until business picked up. It's about to. I have a big job. You're sabotaging me. I'm not. I'm stepping back. This is because Lisa didn't like your present. You're punishing our kids because your feelings were hurt. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm changing what I fund. I won't fund a family my child isn't part of. He laughed, but it was sharp. You have always been dramatic. You want everyone to see you as a saint. Guess what? You're being petty. I could have said a lot of things. I could have listed the amounts, the hours on the phone with utility reps, the little receipts lined up like soldiers. I didn't. Good luck with your job. I hope it goes well. And I hung up. The texts rolled in for a week. From Mom. We will be at your house Sunday to talk. From Lisa. It's really unfair that you made a scene at my daughter's party, and now you're trying to make me the villain. For my aunt. Your mother is very upset. For my cousin Lena. If you need me to run interference, I'm free. I like Lena. She babysat me once and taught me how to put in a ponytail properly. She has always called Ella by her name and not your girl. Sunday came. I didn't open the door. They knocked a long time. I sat at the table with Ella and drew teeth on the iPad. Incisors, canines, molars. We named them like they were pets. The knocking stopped. December came. I'd already told Mom I wasn't renting the lake house for Christmas this year. Technically, I hadn't told her that. I had canceled the annual calendar reminder in my phone and not mentioned it. That was a temptation I didn't touch. One decision closed the account. Everything else would show up on its own. When the cousins' gift exchange list came through the family group text, I didn't add my name. I bought gifts for Ella's class and for the 2 hygienists at my practice. I wrote cards to my patients who had lost someone this year. For Melissa and Jacob, I put a single crisp dollar in each card. No Target gift card, no boxes, no bows, just a $1 bill from the bank folded in half, taped inside a snowman on the front. My handwriting in the same pen I used to write checks. Merry Christmas. I wrote. Love, Aunt Marie and Ella. Nate called on Christmas Eve. Is this a joke? No, I said. I don't give budget gifts to your home anymore. There was a silence like a gap in a bridge. Then he hung up. I made cocoa for Ella and we baked cutout cookies. We watched the Polar Express. She fell asleep with sugar on her chin. The house felt quiet and full at the same time. The new year started with fewer notifications. No autopays pinging. No last-minute "can you" texts on Friday afternoons. I adjusted my budget, and the section labeled Family Fund turned into Ella's savings. I set up a recurring transfer for $500 a month to a new account with her name on it. Every Friday at 9 a.m., my phone buzzed the way it used to. And now the money moved toward her future instead of toward the hole in the middle of someone else's kitchen. I left 2 chairs empty at our dining table for a while out of habit. One at the end for my dad's jokes, one for my mother's opinions. I didn't move them to make a point. I just didn't fill them. People came anyway. Lena brought her boys over for a game night. My hygienist, Martina, dropped off tamales and stayed for coffee. My neighbor's teenager showed Ella how to use layers on her drawing app and left with a bag of leftover Pyragus. For Valentine's Day, Ella made a card for me with teeth drawn as hearts. I put it on the fridge and no one took it down. In March, she entered a poster contest at school about dental hygiene and won a ribbon. She held it up and asked if we could hang it above her bed. We did. In April, my mother sent a short message. Can we see Ella for her birthday? No mention of the Friday money. No apology either. I read it twice. I wrote back, "We're having a small party at home. You're welcome if you can be kind." She didn't respond. They didn't come. The empty chairs stayed empty that day. We set up a backyard picnic with pink plates and a banner Ella drew herself. Lena came with her boys. Later, my sister's oldest, Sophia, showed up with a gift and sat cross-legged on the floor with Ella, painting each other's nails. "I told Grandma we forgot a cousin," she said quietly. She didn't like that. She looked at me like she was checking which side of a line she was on. "I like your house better," she added. "Lighter," and ran outside with the other kids to chase Bubbles. I kept the iPad box on a shelf in my closet with a gift receipt. A silly little relic. Sometimes you need a physical thing to point to when your mind tries to convince you it didn't happen. Next to it, I put the folded drawing from that day. Melissa in a blue dress with balloons, teeth like tiny squares. Ella found it once and smoothed it out on the table. "Should I throw this away?" she asked. "No," I said. "Let's keep it." I slid it into a frame and hung it in the hallway. People stop and look at it when they use the bathroom. "Who drew this?" they asked. "Ella," I said. "It's one of my favorites. This past Christmas we stayed home again. We lit too many candles. We put on pajamas at 4 in the afternoon. I made ham in the oven, and my house smelled like when I was little in the good way. I set 2 extra plates because it felt right to acknowledge they exist, even if they weren't coming. The plates stayed clean. It didn't ruin anything." Ella gave me a card she made on her iPad, printed on the office printer with the colors a little off. It said, "Thank you for not letting people be mean to me." There was a tooth in the corner with eyelashes. I don't think I'm a saint. I'm not brave in the way movies make people brave. I closed the bank account. I took my own present back. I picked my kid on purpose with my time and with my money. When I think about that day in the kitchen now, I don't see Lisa's face. I see Ella's looking at her drawing like it might be trash before she put it in her backpack like a secret. That moment is the reason I did what I did. It's the reason I'll keep doing it. I won't fund a family my kid isn't part of. I won't beg for a chair at a table that doesn't have room for her drawing. Last weekend we had Lena and her boys over again. We ate pizza off paper plates. The kids took turns on the iPad drawing themselves as superheroes. Ella drew our house with a long table and chairs all around it. There were 6. She put our names above each one in her careful block letters. Then she handed me the picture and said, "You can keep this in your keepsake box if you want." "I will." Have you ever had to draw a hard line with family to protect someone you love? What was your breaking point, and how did you finally decide to prioritize your own peace and well-being? Share your story in the comments below.